Hello students. We all know that UPSC is one of the most prestigious and competitive examinations not only in our country but also in the world, thus making a well-defined strategy a prerequisite to excel in this examination. Just for a moment, put yourself in the shoes of Sachin Tendulkar, a 15-year-old boy making his debut in the game of cricket in the year of 1989 in Karachi, Pakistan, in the front of the legends of the game. Now, the game of the cricket at that day had its legacy, just like how the UPSC examination has, and the opponent was ready to throw a lot of bouncers at this new entrant of the game, just like how UPSC throws a lot of bouncer at a new aspirant who is actually striving to clear this examination, to achieve their dream of becoming an officer to ultimately serve this nation. What are these bouncers which are actually thrown by UPSC at a new aspirant? There are several which we are going to discuss actually in this session. The first one of them being the undefined nature of the examination itself. To understand that, let's take an example of a prelims 2023 question which was actually asked on the theme of the port. This theme of port has actually been given in your mains syllabus as the part of the theme of infrastructure. However, the UPSC does not define at all that at what depth an aspirant shall dwell in to actually address this question, which is asking about the first major port, the largest privately owned port, or the largest container port. The second major bouncer which an aspirant faces is the frequently changing nature of the examination, which actually makes UPSC a lot different from the standard examinations of the college which you guys have been giving till now, because it quickly adapts itself to the recent trends in the market. For example, what was happening back in 2020 or 2021, that there were various teaching platforms which were teaching on YouTube, and they were actually propagating some elimination technique with which you can reach to the answer in your prelims examination. What UPSC did from 2022 onwards, it actually eliminated the elimination technique altogether. The third major bouncer which a student faces is that there exists no defined sources for the examination. It's not like a college exam where UPSC has actually released a kind of a book list which one shall follow to become an IAS officer. Is there exist any kind of book list which has been released officially by UPSC? No. So what leaves the students is reading everything under the sun. Also, when UPSC is framing the question, they are of such dynamic nature. For example, in Mains 2023 paper, it asked a question on Purvaiya in Bhojpur region, a question on the wind, and then integrated that with that how it influenced the cultural ethos of the region. Such a beautifully framed question. Also, for example, it is asking from the issues of the current affair, such as the virus of conflict in the international relations, or for example, how the corruption is the manifestation of the core values in the society. The questions like this actually propels the aspirant to think right at the spot. What UPSC is telling to us is that it is not in desire of a dead mind which has read thousands of books, rather a living brain which can actually think on the spot when the situation arrives and demands so. Thus, to address with all these bouncers which has been thrown by UPSC, the state of mind of students actually become in the state of confusion where there are a plethora of questions which are actually sprouting in their mind. The basic questions such as, for example, how much time shall be given to their self-studies, where shall they should actually start from which book, from which course, or when they shall start their optional, how many reference books they shall read, till when they shall actually be finishing their standard books like NCERTs, and from when or which Muharrat they should actually start their answer writing practice. So in this particular session, we are actually going to discuss about all these frequently asked questions one by one. The first is to understand that this preparation of UPSC, it is not a sprint, rather a marathon. To understand that, first let's take an example. Let's say that I give a book to you And I tell you that the moment you will finish this book and you'll be able to answer the questions from this book, your selection will be guaranteed, and I will directly make you a reference from the PMO itself. The chances are that you will end up finishing and mugging up this book in the span of hours. But what if I tell you that you have to read this book again and again for the next few months, and even after finishing this book, there exists a very small probability of you excelling in this examination. This is where now this book will actually start seeming like a big task which you have to follow, or a big mountain to climb. That is where UPSC actually stands out from the normal or the standardized examination which we were giving till now. Whatever we are learning today, we have to remember it for a long period of time. When we have understood that this is a long examination because of the nature of it as well, let's say the preparation requires 1 year, then let's say if you are appearing for the next year's examination, the prelims examination or the first stage of examination, which actually requires you to solve certain objective kind of questions, that is going to take place on 25th of May. That is around 9 months away from this month. And at the same time, the mains examination is actually going to take place on 22nd of August. That is almost an year away from now. So this marathon nature of examination also propels us to think in the direction that we have to approach it with phase-wise preparation. So we have to keep this in our mind that we have to do one thing at a time, and whatever we are doing, whatever is the subject which we are actually taking, we will have to put our whole soul into the preparation, as the quote goes by the Swami Vivekananda. So when we have understood that okay, there is a phase-wise preparation, try to understand this, that let's say we start preparing for the next year's examination, the prelims examination, or 25th of May. So till 31st of December this year, you guys are the most relaxed bunch of the people in the country, because whatever you guys are studying today, whatever are the tests which you guys are giving, how much ever your score in that particular test, it doesn't matter, because congratulations, you guys don't have any examination this year till 31st of December. The moment the night of 31st of December will start transforming into the morning of 1st of January, you guys will start feeling the heat even in the month of winters. The reason? The examination which was about to happen next year has now arrived, and it is just 4 to 5 months away. Now obviously you guys might have heard a lot about the challenging nature of this prelims examination. So your mind from the month of January to February onwards starts telling you that I have to prepare for this first stage of examination. Because what good it will serve if I have very well prepared for the second stage, but I am unable to qualify the preliminary stage of the examination itself. So it is obvious that the certain subjects or dimensions which are integral part of your second stage of examination, that will actually go on the back seat, such as for example answer writing, the subject your optional, the subject of ethics, etc. So basically, even if you guys end up clearing the preliminary stage, the chances are that you are not prepared at all for the mains examination, the examination which actually decides your rank. Also see that how there is only 88 days of gap which has been provided between the prelims and mains examination. That is why our approach toward this examination is going to be a phase-wise preparation. Then at this particular stage, some of you guys will actually have a question in your mind that why do we even need a plan for this examination? Everyone is studying and so can we. Well, if you are not planning to appear for this examination, then basically you are actually planning to fail in this examination. That is a kind of an idea which we have to keep in our mind. So we are not going to appear in this examination unprepared, or we are not going to adopt a go with the flow approach, where what most of the students they start doing is that first of all they say that okay, I'm going to attend a particular class, I'm going to become a part of a coaching, then I will do the coaching, and then I will see that what I have to do rest with the rest of the time which I have got, and over a period of time I will actually learn, and thus end up wasting a lot of time in this particular phase. Second is that we all know that how the optional is the examination or a subject which actually decides our rank. Because even if you are looking at the marks of the top 10 rankers, their GS marks, the 4 GS paper which you guys will get, each one of them is of 250 marks. So that equals to around your 1000 marks. In these 1000 marks, the top 10 rankers, their scores vary from 440 to 460 at max. That means that they are scoring around 45% of the marks. However, if you look at their score in the optional subject, out of 500, their average score is around 300. So that is 60% scope of marks which we have got with our optional. But what students do? Either they are unsure about which optional to take, or they end up wasting a lot of time in this pursuit of a good optional, and thus they do not start with their optional preparation in the initial months of their preparation. The next is about the answer writing, the most ignored concept of this examination. And also remember, if you have to clear this examination with utmost surety, you have to function and work upon this aspect the most. Then there are two classical mistakes appeared or done by the UPSC aspirants. What are they? First is, either they will fall in love with one particular subject without realizing that in this examination you have to be jack of all trades, right? You do not have to become an expert. So they end up reading their favorite subject. The next is of the procrastination or keep on delaying the task. When I will start answer writing? From the next Monday. When I will start my optional coaching? From the next month. When I will give a full-fledged prelims or mains test? From the next first date of the next month, which actually never comes. So we have to understand the importance of time in this examination, which can also be emphasized upon the quote which was said by Abraham Lincoln, that the best thing about the future is that it actually comes one day at a time. And for that future, you have to prepare. You have to prepare yourself. You have to, keep on working consistently in the direction of your result. And for that purpose, you don't have to judge each day by the harvest you reap, because obviously there is a long nature of this examination. There is no short-term result which you guys can get. Thus, you have to judge your day by the seeds you are planting. And trust me, the biggest satisfaction students get at the end of their whole day hard work is when they tick the boxes of the targets which they have completed. So we are going to address some very basic questions which comes in the mind of a new aspirant who has just started his journey. The first thing and the most important question which you all shall have in your mind is what to read. The UPSC has actually come to your help in this particular aspect, where it has provided a syllabus of mains. First of all, try to ascertain yourself or try to make yourself comfortable with the syllabus at the earliest date possible. Do not do this mistake of dividing the syllabus that, okay, my syllabus is history, geography, economy. No, don't do this mistake. Rather, just read your GS1 syllabus and read the themes of the syllabus which has been provided. So let's say the first topic of my GS1 syllabus is what? It is, I have to read about the art forms, the literature, and the architecture from the ancient to the modern times. So this is the portion of my syllabus, and thus whatever the book I am reading, whatever the newspaper is there in front of me, I will be very careful about this portion of my syllabus. Because if I am being careful, it is actually going to help me that how much you shall actually read. What is the depth to dwell in? That we can actually assess from the analysis of the previous year questions. So, for example, the first portion of your syllabus, what does it say? To read about the literature from ancient to modern times. Just look at the two questions which was asked in this year prelims examination. Both of them actually featured upon the literature part of your ancient India. Thus, is UPSC asking everything under the sun? Absolutely not. They are sticking to the syllabus which has actually been kind of ignored by most of the aspirants. The next is, should I read the newspaper? The answer to that is absolutely yes. This is one advice which will actually get in common by all the good platforms in this coaching business. The idea is that why we are reading the newspaper, because we can see the direct reflections of the questions which are being framed from these questions itself. Such as, for example, this question which appeared in your prelims examination, a question on system of rice intensification. Let's have a very brief overlook about this article. See how this article is actually stating that the seed requirement has actually been reduced. The article is stating that how the water requirement by the farmers will decline. So obviously if the farmers are using less water, they will actually use less number of irrigation pumps. So obviously the electricity consumption will decline as well. Then it also states that how such system of rice intensification keeps the pest attacks and rat menace under the check, and that is why the farmers will actually be using the less number of pesticide, leading to the less number of methane production. So obviously a question solved just by reading and having a brief understanding about the newspaper article. The next classic question is, what should be my book list? Obviously, as we discussed, that there is no such specific book list which has been provided by UPSC. What it actually transpires to, that it makes the student read everything under the sun, where they actually end up becoming a book collector first before becoming a district collector. That is a mistake which we are going to avoid as well. So what we will do, we will actually follow a max 3 formula which has been adopted by the various toppers. What is this max 3 formula here? To understand that, first understand that you guys are appearing for a Union Public Service Commission examination. The most important term here is the union. What does union actually signifies? It signifies that the examiner who is actually going to frame the question for you, that examiner is going to face 2 important challenges. What are these challenges? The first challenge is that he has to make a question paper which is actually uniformly difficult across the country. So it cannot happen that, okay, the question paper was easy for the people who were living in Delhi and very difficult for the people who were living in Kanyakumari. That cannot happen. The second important challenge is that the question paper which the examiner is designing, it has to be sourced from a particular source which is uniformly accessible throughout the country. Now just try to guess what can be these 2 sources. A source which is accessible to the people of Leh and Ladakh, to the people of Northeast, to the people of Central India, or to the kind of a son of a fisherman who is coming from the region of Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu. The answer is that there are 2 such sources. One is obviously the government published, cheap and freely available books, which is NCERT. The second is the newspaper which is being delivered to you on daily basis. So we have got 2 sources for us, very sorted. The third is obviously that the integration of this is something which you guys will get from the class notes of the coaching which you guys have joined. The third source here can be in the integration of these 2, that is your reference book. One of the most questions which are asked by UPSC aspirant, which reference book to read. Try to understand this, that if, let's say I'm a very poor person and I want to have a basic diet to survive myself for the rest of the years. What can be this basic diet? This staple diet can actually include the rice, the pearls and a vegetable. I can still survive on rice and pearls. The rice and pearls here being your NCERTs, newspapers and your class notes. What is the vegetable here? So obviously not all of us eat the very same vegetable, the very same sabji. We keep it as our preference. Some of you like paneer, some of you like aloo. In the very same way, the reference book can actually be your preference. Preference in the sense that, let's say if you are referring to a particular book and you say that, okay, I'm finding this book very boring. There is no diagram given in this book, even though this book is actually being suggested by the topper. Also, there is another book available in the market which has actually got good infographics, which is actually very understandable for me. Then obviously I am going to refer to that particular book. So obviously that reference became my preference. These are the 3 sources which we are going to follow under this maximum 3 formula, considering that we have to read these 3 sources for so many subjects: economy, polity, history, geography, science and technology. So we are going to limit our resources and maximize on our revision, something which you guys might be hearing the toppers, they suggest the very same exercise as well. So what we have done? Through this session, we have actually tried to divide a phase-wise breakup plan which can be applicable to most of the students who are starting their preparation. Here, try to understand. There was a prince named Gautam. The Gautam was living in all the luxuries of his life. So for example, you guys were following a kind of a career till now. Now you guys have decided that, okay, whatever the kind of path I was following in my life, I'm going to take a break from that and I'm going to appear in one of the most toughest examinations in our country. So obviously, hats off to your dedication and your courage. The same courage was actually also shown by a prince called as Gautam, who left all the luxuries of his princely state and actually took the path of becoming a parivrajaka or a wanderer, where he actually started striving to decode the larger purpose of life. The same Prince Gautam, who you guys now known by the name of Gautam Buddha. So the first 4 months when you are actually entering into this undiscovered territory for you, you guys are also the same parivrajaka or the same wanderer like the Gautam Buddha. So just hold on to the curiosity which you have, and there are certain basic things which you shall actually follow in this stage of your preparation. The first is obviously to accustom yourself with the foundational knowledge which you guys can get from the basic NCERTs. The basic NCERTs of which subjects? Of the economy, polity, history, geography, society. So try to read all these subjects and develop a foundational understanding. Then, if you guys are actually taking the help of an external agency, when you guys will actually come to this conclusion whether to join a coaching or not. So if you are unable to understand this foundational subject, if you guys are finding it a bit difficult to actually understand these subjects, the concepts, if you are looking at analyzing the syllabus and the PYQs and you think that yes, there exists the help of an external agency and you guys have joined a coaching, then start reading your class notes. Try to understand the concepts which are being taught there and try to revise these classes on daily basis along with this foundational subject. The third is, when shall I start my optional preparation? As we saw that when the second phase of your preparation will come, right, towards the prelims examination, your optional will obviously take a back seat. And then there is very less time which UPSC is actually providing you to appear for the mains and prepare for it. So what we will do? We'll start our optional preparation as soon as possible. Obviously, first make the choice that which options you are going to take. Now, through this navigator platform, we have actually decided to help you in all these aspects of preparation. So the idea is that you guys become an integral part of this navigator and we will keep on coming with the videos to address these specific questions which appears in the student's mind, such as for example, which optional to take. Thus, first of all, a brief idea here. Go through the syllabus, go through the previous year questions, analyze it, come to this conclusion that if you require the help of an external agency, if yes, start your optional coaching as soon as possible. The moment you guys do, start developing the basic understanding about your optional subject as well. The third is your current affairs. So for the current affairs, we have already seen the importance of the newspaper. Along with the newspaper, you guys can also follow one supplementary source. That supplementary source can be the analysis video of the newspaper, or it can be any magazine if you guys want to refer to that. Remember that how we have adopted the 3 max formula for the GS subjects. For the current affairs, we will stick to 2, considering the vast nature of the current affairs. Now, which newspaper one shall follow? The Hindu, the Indian Express, the Evergreen Debate? The answer is again the very same. It can be your preference. If you find the language of Hindu more accustomed to you, go with that. If you follow the language of Indian Express, much more easier for you to comprehend, then just try to go with that as well. Now, remember that in this examination, the passive learning is not going to help you at all. And actually, most of the students who appear repeatedly in this examination, this is one of the classical mistakes which they do, and that is they keep on learning but just completely forget to apply this knowledge. Just try to understand there exists a limitation by design in this examination. Let's say you guys start reading about the artificial intelligence in your current affairs and you fell in love with the concept of artificial intelligence. So much so that you actually started reading plethora of articles on artificial intelligence. You started reading a lot of research on this emerging concept. But the UPSC is going to provide you the maximum of 2 to 3 pages in your mains examination. Will tell you that you have to write this answer in the span of 10 minutes in the maximum of 250 words. So if there exists such a limitation by design, I will start practicing myself to make myself accustomed with the demand of the examination. And for that purpose, I will start the answer writing. Should we start it from the very first day? I'm not suggesting that. But if you have learned a concept, just take your pen and paper and try to write it down and see whether you are able to express yourself or not. This is the most basic form of answer writing which you guys can actually begin with. The second is that we can actually start practicing a bit of daily quizzes on the concepts which we are learning. Try to solve a bit of prelims test on whatever concept we have learned, and also try to see certain questions from the mains as well. This is the first 4 months of your preparation where you are actually a wanderer. You wander into the different dimensions of your GS subject, current affairs, optional, and the moment you realize that with this wandering you have actually learned a lot of concept, you settle yourself down and starts your tapasya phase. The same tapasya which was started by Gautam Buddha under the Bodhi tree in your Bodh Gaya. For the next 49 days, we are going to follow it for the 5th to 8th month of our preparation journey. So now we are basically putting our car in the second gear. So now we have started our optional and our GS subjects. Both of them has reached to a certain level. We have finished the basic NCERTs. We are in the phase of now to actually add our reference books here. Now at this time, we will actually dedicate 40% of our self-study time to our GS and 40% of time to our optional, thus actually working a right balance of golden mean of the Aristotle. Then in your optional, try to understand that now we have actually invested 7 to 8 months. We have also actually practicing a little bit of answer writing on the concepts which we are learning. So your idea shall be that in this 5th to 8th month of your preparation, you shall actually make your optional reach to that level where you are ready enough to attempt the mains paper. So try to pick up the mains paper which has just happened when you started your preparation. Try to reach to that level where you can actually sit for 3 hours and write your optional paper in one go. Then obviously the learning which will derive, we are going to implement that in our further preparation. The next is that at this stage, we are going to integrate the current affairs with the static part. We will start establishing that interconnectivity exercise which is suggested by the toppers. We will also start interlinking the concept of GS1 to GS2 paper, the GS2 paper to the GS3 paper. This is the stage where you guys will actually start seeing the federal issues in your environment topics. Then our answer writing is something which we need to emphasize from this 5th to 8th month, and we need to create the level of our answer writing to reach to that level where we are more than 800 plus marks ready in our mains examination, thus guaranteeing our interview call. Do not worry for that. We are going to have a separate session on answer writing where we will discuss each and every component which you guys need to focus upon. Just be the part of this navigator journey. The next is obviously that see how in the first stage of the examination, the first phase of this preparation, we did not focus that much on the PYQs, because if you just jump at the PYQs, it can actually hamper your self-confidence, because you think that okay, this is the level of the examination and with my limited studies, I am unable to solve them. But from your 5th to 8th month of your preparation, you have reached to that level of intelligence where you can actually start solving a bit of PYQs. So if I'm looking at mains PYQs, you guys start a bit of answer writing on that. And if I'm looking at prelims PYQs, you guys start solving them on the topics which you have learned till now. With being a wanderer and then the phase of tapasya, the Gautam Buddha finally got nirvana or the enlightened, where he actually became enlightened about his strength, his weaknesses. He knew that he has developed the basic concept of all the GS papers. He knew that he has covered a significant portion of GS and optional as well. He now had developed the confidence on his answer writing. This next 4 months of your preparation, right before the first stage of the examination, is when we are going to switch the gear further and keep our preparation in the full throttle. This is where we will start the revision. The revision which has been considered as the key to success by the various toppers. The revision of what? The revision of your NCERTs, your reference books, your class notes, your current affairs which you have prepared till now. Thus, when you have attained the enlightenment or nirvana, this is the time to execute your plan. This is the time to execute your knowledge. This is the time where we are actually going to read whatever we have learned till now, retrieve the information and reproduce it by practicing the various mocks. When we are doing these mocks, we are actually going to do our strength and weakness analysis, and we will apply that in our learning to further push ourselves towards the result-oriented examination approach. Just remember that in this examination, you guys are actually going to face a lot of difficulty. It is obvious that there will be a rough patch. There will be a lot of challenges which will be thrown to you. Obviously, we are promising that we will be doing the hand holding at each and every stage of your examination. Your job is to make sure that you guys are not going to feel at any moment that this examination is not your cup of tea. Because remember, क्या हार में क्या जीत में किंचित नहीं भयभीत में, संघर्ष पथ पर जो मिले ये भी सही वो भी सही, हार न मानूंगा मैं कभी. Right? That shall be our approach in this examination. We have kind of provided you a phase-wise preparation which you guys can actually implement. We'll be coming up with further more videos through this navigator journey to guide you, to inspire you. You make sure that you become an integral part of this preparation journey along with us. So thank you, future officers, for listening to me patiently in this session, and we will meet soon in a very interesting discussion very soon. Till then, all the very best for your preparation, and thank you.